Hello everybody, Mannix here. Got a quick little review for you right here, right now, but first feel free to subscribe, hit that little bell notification if you do not want to miss weekly knife and gun videos. I was going to say this is a knife review, but this is actually not a knife. This is, I guess, a gear, item, tool, defense thingy review. The Williams Defense Key by CRKT. Extremely cheap, simple, not a whole lot going on here. Let's just get the specs out of the way real quick, as we always do. Blade length of 1.76 inches, which happens to be 3CR13 MOV with a tumbled finish. The thickness of the quote-unquote blade is 0.11 inches, overall length 3.57 inches, and weighs 1.1 ounces, according to CRKT's official website. 0.97 ounces according to my scale. Handle material is glass reinforced nylon. Retails at $10. You can get these for just about that, about $10 depending on where you go. If you were to purchase this, this is all you get. You will get this in the package, nothing else. Kind of disappointed this didn't come with a split ring or some way to attach it to your keys. I suppose you could directly attach it to the main split ring or whatever method your car key set or house key set, whatever it is, happens to have. The purpose behind this device right here is essentially a defensive tool that looks like a key, particularly a car key. This is not sharp. It's just a thick slab of steel right there. Again, according to their website, it's 8CR13 MOV. I'm surprised they use that as the steel. I mean, it's a cheap blade steel, but they could have probably got away with something even cheaper because edge retention is completely out the window with this thing. We just need something that's going to be hard and rigid enough. We don't have to worry about edge retention, but whatever. I'm not CRKT. I don't know why they did that. It also doubles as a Phillips head screwdriver. And that works, actually. It might look useless, but believe it or not, these flat little Phillips heads actually work very effectively. It's basically just a puncturing, stabbing tool, and yes, this thing will work. I haven't tested this specifically, but I've seen many tools quite like this with a similar design. It's not even really a blade. I mean, I suppose you could call it a blade. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not sharp. It's just pointy. Pointy, rigid piece of metal, and if you really give this a good thrust, which is very easy to do with this style of weapon, then yes, this will stab into a person, an attacker, lawfully defending yourself, by the way. Somebody trying to kill you, somebody trying to mug you, you could thrust this into someone allegedly and cause some damage. But of course, all you will cause is the total length of steel we have right here if you were to puncture someone. Now, with this style of weapon, these like punch knives, whatever you want to call these things, they're actually extremely effective because all of the pressure in your arm, even if you're not a knife fighter, even if you don't know what you're doing, you're just kind of like thrusting in an adrenaline-filled, messy situation trying to defend yourself, you'd be surprised these actually do cause a lot of damage because all of the force in your arm from that punch, that thrust, all of that energy drops right there. It all ends up right there. It all transfers into that teeny tiny little thin metal point. So yes, you'd probably have no issue puncturing someone with this thing. It's essentially better and more powerful, more effective than punching someone, and would be less damaging to you and your knuckles, I suppose. It works, it's cheap, it's light, you'll probably forget it's on you if you just throw this on your car key set, but what I will say, it is significantly bigger than a typical car key. You may not be able to tell from the video, but that's the first thing I noticed when I got it. Like, let me just show you my current car key set. Here is a typical car key. It's significantly bigger. Not so much like the metal key itself, it's only slightly bigger, slightly thicker, but like the actual portion you hold on to, it's massive. I've had this on my keys. I had to get my own little split ring for it, but I just took it off just for the sake of the video. You can kind of see it wearing sort of like that. If we bury it in here, somehow somebody took a glance at your keys for whatever reason, they're not going to think that's a weapon. They're probably just going to think that's some other arbitrary key. If they looked at it long enough, and for whatever reason they were observing your keys at that close of a distance, they'd probably think, what the hell is that thing? But that's about it. It wouldn't really draw too much suspicion, I don't think. So it's cheap, it's light, it's not very suspicious. You can just throw it on there. And hey, if it's nothing else, it is a Phillips head screwdriver that could potentially double as a defensive weapon. Yeah, sure. Is this useful? Should you get one of these? I say don't bother, honestly, but if you got some extra money lying around, you just want yet another excuse to carry yet another defensive tool, why not? You know, it's so cheap, you might as well just throw it on your car key set. It's not really going to weigh you down by barely even an ounce. As for any reason to actually carry this thing, other than just for the sake of the hobby and just for it being cool, if you're in a location where you're absolutely not allowed to carry a knife on you, you just cannot even have a pocket knife, dear God, if you're in a location like that, that sucks. But they exist here, even in the United States, go to a post office. If you're in an area where you absolutely cannot have any knife on you whatsoever, maybe this actually could be an okay defensive option. You can carry your keys on you. You can keep this with you. It'll just show up as a key. I suppose it is actually useful as far as that is concerned. It's probably not going to be lethal because I simply don't think it stabs in long enough, but it will be painful as hell. That person who happened to be on the receiving end of this thing is not going to be having a very good time if you poke this into them. Just saying. So despite it seeming like a total gimmick, although it kind of is, at the same time, it does have that as an actual use. You can just keep this on your car key set and use it as a makeshift weapon. And again, it's particularly useful in an area where you're not allowed to have knives or any weapons on you whatsoever. Is this really a weapon? No, it's just a screwdriver that looks like a key, right? Cool. Anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. What are your thoughts on this thing? Do you think it's just a gimmick, or do you think there are actually some pretty handy uses for it? Let me know in the comments down below. It's always interesting to hear what you guys have to say, and I always learn something from you. Thank you so much for watching. Mannix out.